One of my favorite places right now is an unusually dark place. It's a strip of mangroves, and it has a certain mystique. Overgrown trees and dark water surround you when you're in this place, and yet you can feel a pulse, a certain energy that emanates from these murky waters. This place is called Robinson Preserve, and it's actually a place that has been brought back to life thanks to the many efforts of different organizations. They restored 487 acres of these mangroves and transformed them from farmland to mangroves. Mangroves actually have an incredible job. They protect the shorelines from damaging storms, they stabilize sediments, and they also maintain the water quality, filtering pollutants and trapping sediments. These mangroves do a job that no man made structure can make of filtering water, but they also provide a haven for many species of fish, which are a critical component to Florida's fishing industries. I'm not a native to the Florida landscape, but the more time that I spend in the natural places that Florida has, the more I realize what an ecological jewel Florida is. For starters, Florida has more coastline than any other state in the United States. In fact, Florida is one of the handful of places on Earth where sea turtles come to lay their eggs. Everywhere you look in Florida is full of biodiversity. Freshwater wetlands and aquatic ecosystems are a staple of this state. In fact, Florida has one of the largest freshwater lakes and freshwater springs in the U.S. A great example of this is Wakula Springs State Park, which spans over 2,800 acres. It is one of the world's largest and deepest freshwater springs. The spring forms the head of the Wakula River, which flows through cypress swamps, floodplains, and hardwood forests. Many of the caves in the spring cavern have been explored up to 300 feet and a distance of 1,200 feet. Even though professional dive teams had found there are four conduits, the source of the spring is still a mystery. Fossilized mastodon bones can be seen in the spring depths. These fossilized remains were reported by Sarah Smith in 1850, and since then scientists have identified the remains of at least 9 other extinct Ice Age mammals. These natural ecosystems fill us with wonder and have such an interesting history. The famous swamplands that describe so much of Florida's natural habitats are not dark and sullen places, but they're also an incredible home to many rare and endangered birds and mammals. A beautiful example of this are the Everglades, which are one of the only rain-fed flooded grasslands in the world on limestone, and North America's most extensive flooded grassland. This wetland is one of nature's most efficient water treatment systems where plants filter pollutants. This water filtering system that comes from the Everglades helps filter pollutants out of slow-moving water, delivering cleaner water to the Florida Bay, the Florida Keys, and nearby coral reefs, and making it a very essential component to keep these places well fed. Due to the impact humans have had in these precious wetlands, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, also known as UNESCO, have declared the Everglades an endangered World Heritage Site. This means that the Everglades are recognized not only as an important part of Florida and the United States, but also these lands are important to everyone in the world. It is a place of international importance and deserves special protection. There are many threats to this land: continuous drainage, filling, mining, logging, water pollution, and even the invasion of human-introduced exotic plants can affect these swamps rapidly and profoundly. Very quickly, these damages can also affect the birds and the mammals that live in it. Not everything is negative. Actually, a lot of land has been bought by organizations which are there to protect the animals and the birds that live in it. And the American alligator is a success story. It no longer is on the endangered species list. The Florida panther, on the other hand, is not so lucky as the American alligator. They are one of the most endangered animals in the world, and the only wild breeding populations occur in South Florida within the Big Cypress Swamp region. The Florida population of green sea turtles has been considered endangered since 1978, and unfortunately, their population has been victim to commercial harvesting for eggs and food, as well as an incidental catch from the shrimp fishery. The future is uncertain for many of the wildlife that are in these habitats, but there are people who are taking action. The Florida's Wildlife Action Plan identifies 974 animals and actions needed to conserve them and the habitats that are so important to these animals. Just in appreciating the rustic beauty and knowing all of this information can help to save these precious wetlands that are so important not only to Florida but to the whole world.